Okay, so I'm going to continue with going through every exam question that has been asked. I'm now including all of the questions from November 2021, and in all the future videos they're going to be there as well. So this one is on factors, multiples and primes. You can download this in the description and it will be fully hyperlinked like this one that we've got here. So I'm going to start off with prime factors and then it starts moving into LCM and HCF. So I'm going to go pretty quick on these as these are pretty easy. So we're going to first of all express 56 as a product of its prime factors. Sometimes people call this like a factor tree. So you just think of two numbers that multiply to give 56. I go with 7 and 8, and 7 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle it. And 8 is 4 times 2. 2 is a prime number, so I'll circle it. And 4 is 2 times 2. Now people sometimes make the mistake of stopping there. You actually need to express it as a product of prime factors. So you can either write 2 times 2 times 2 times 7, or you can write it in index form so that it's 2 cubed multiplied by 7. That's the answer we're looking for here. Let's check it from the mark scheme. Yep, 2 times 2 times 7, and accept 2 cubed times 7. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. It says, write 36 as a product of its prime factors. You can start with any pair of numbers. When I think of 36, I go straight to 9 times 4. 9 is 3 times 3. Both of those are prime. And 4 is 2 times 2. So I'm just going to say that 36 is equal to 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. You can see these are very easy. It's question 1. Or I can just write that as 2 squared times 3 squared. And we end up here with 2 squared times 3 squared, or equivalent, it says. Okay, this one it wants us to now move on to lowest common multiple and highest common factor. We're going to find the lowest common multiple of these numbers. Now I'm going to just show you a couple of different techniques throughout this video. So I'm going to go with my kind of table method. With this table method, you can write 40 and 56, and then down the side you're going to write what they have in common. So I can tell that these are both in the 8 times table, so I'm going to divide them both by 8. When I divide 40 by 8, I get 5, and 56 divided by 8 is 7. So the lowest common multiple is all of the numbers down the side multiplied by them going across here, and it kind of makes that L shape of LCM. Now obviously there's only one number here, but if there were two. The reason I stopped at this point is because 5 and 7 have no common numbers that I could divide by other than 1. So the lowest common multiple for this particular question will be 8 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 7, and of course I can use the calculator for this. So 8 times 5 times 7, 8 times 5 times 7 is 280. So the lowest common multiple is 280. This one wants us to write down the highest common factor of A and B. Well, the best thing to do here is to write them so that they are in sort of the matching columns. So that's 2 cubed times 3 times 5. And for B that we've got here, we've got 2 squared times 3 times 5 squared. Now, I either do for the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple, there's another technique of either what wins or what loses, and I'll explain what I mean with this. For the highest common factor, we actually do what loses. This one goes with highest common factor. Lowest common multiple is the one that goes with what wins. I always think loses is the opposite, would go with high. You think normally high goes with winning, and low you think go with loses, but it's actually the other way around. So you compare the powers and you just see which one of these things is going to lose. So 2 squared is lower than 2 cubed, so it's going to lose. It's a draw here, so we'll just say that 3 is also the loser. You still pick that. And out of 5 and 5 squared, 5 is the one that would lose. It's the lowest, so we would pick those, which means that the highest common factor of these things that we have is 2 squared times 3 times 5. And I'm just going to be lazy and put that straight on the calculator. 2 squared times 3 times 5, and we get that the highest common factor is 60. Now there's loads of ways of doing these, but this is just how I see it. 280 and 60, perfect. Okay, we're going to find the highest common factor of 60 and 84. Now I'm actually going to show you a way of doing this without the what wins and what loses. I'll show you a different way. So I'm going to do 60 and 84. I'm going to do that method I had previously where you kind of divide them both by something. Now these both look like they're going to be in the 2 times table, so I can divide them both by 2. These look like they're both in the 6 times table, so I'm going to divide them both by 6. It's going to leave me with a 5, and 6 times 7 is 42. Now 5 and 7 have got nothing in common. So the highest common factor are these ones multiplied together. The highest common factor is therefore 2 times 6, which is 12. If we were doing the lowest common multiple, we would do 2 times 6 times 5 times 7 to get that L shape for the lowest common multiple. But we're doing the highest common factor, so we'll leave it there. Now we'll do the lowest common multiple of 24 and 40. So I'm going to write my 24 and 40. I'm going to do my table method. I can spot that these are definitely in the 4 times table. 24 divided by 4 is 6, and 40 divided by 4 is 10. Okay, actually I probably could have done a higher number, but I'm going to just demonstrate this. You can pick any number they both go into. And 6 and 10, they both divide by 2. So I'll put a 2 here. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now 3 and 5 have got nothing in common. So for the lowest common multiple, I'm going to do the 4 and the 2, the 3 and the 5. It makes that L shape. So the lowest common multiple is 4 times 2 times 3 times 5. And it's with a calculator, so I'm going to be very lazy. I'm going to do 4 times 2 times 3 times 5. And we get that the lowest common multiple is 120. So let's see if we got that right. 12 and 120. Perfect. Okay, this is a non-calculator paper. It wants us to find the highest common factor of 72 and 90. Now I'm going to still do my table method. It's probably my preferred method. I can spot that 72 and 90. Maybe you can't spot what times table, so I'm going to make it really easy. Let's do the 2 times table. I'll half that and I'll half that. Ah, great. I can now actually spot that they're in the 9 times table. If I divide 36 by 9, I get 4, and 45 divided by 9 is 5. Now the 4 and 5 have got nothing in common, so just the 9 times 2 will give us the highest common factor. The highest common factor is the 9 times 2, which is 18. If we were going to do the lowest common multiple, it would be the 9, the 2, the 4 and the 5, but they're only asking for the highest common factor here. So we did get the right answer of 18. Okay, another non-calculator one. They want us to do the lowest common multiple of 108 and 120. I'm going to do my table method. It's my preferred one. So I'm going to half both of them just to see if I can make it easier to spot. Half of 108 is 54, and half of 120 is 60. I think I can half them again. Half of 54, that's 27, and half of 60 is 30. Now they're definitely in the 3 times table. 27 divided by 3 is 9, and 30 divided by 3 is 10. Now 9 and 10 have got nothing in common, so I can't do any more for this table. So the lowest common multiple is going to be the parts of the L shape all multiplied together. If you want more detailed explanations of this, I've actually got a whole playlist on the highest common factor and lowest common multiple that explains why this works as well. So the lowest common multiple is 2 times 2 times 3 times 9 times 10. Well, let's start off doing the 2 times 2 times 3 part. That's going to be a 4 times 3, which is 12. So it's 12 times 9 times 10. Well, 12 times 9, I can either do like a 12 times 9 like this. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 1 is 9, plus the 1 is 10. So that's 108 is 12 times 9, and I'm multiplying it by 10. So the lowest common multiple is 1080. Which is the correct answer. Loads of ways of doing these, it's just the way I think is the easiest. Okay, so here is a list of 5 numbers. Find the lowest common multiple of these 5 numbers. Now we can't use the table method for this, so we're going to use the one that I mentioned earlier on, that the lowest common multiple is the what wins kind of thing. In other words, which one has got the highest power. So the one that's got the highest power out of these is going to be the 98 to the power of 91. So that's the one that would win in a comparison of powers. So we're going to say that it's 98 to the power of 91, which we can see is the answer right here. Okay, a calculator paper. It wants us to write 84 as a product of its prime factors. Now I could do this long process, but I'm just going to show you a shortcut on the calculator. So what you can do for this is you're going to type in 84 and press equals so that it's stored as the answer. And then if you see above, where you look at the number 8, it goes, the button above it is ENG. The button above that has got like 3 kinds of comma type symbols. And if you press shift, you get fact. So I'm going to press shift, and then I'm going to press the button with fact, and it will automatically put it in its product of prime factors form. So I can just write down that 84 is 2 squared times 3 times 7. This works with any number, so I don't know, if I was going to do it for something that might be helpful down here to find the lowest common factor of 60 and 84, I'm going to type in 60 and press equals, and I'm going to press shift and fact. And pretty much all calculators, if you've got the ones approved for GCSE, should be able to do this. So 60 is 2 squared times 3 times 5, and we're going to try and find the lowest common multiple of 60 and 84. Now 84 is 2 squared times 3, but I'm going to put the 7 in its own column that we've got here. Now for lowest common multiple, we think of what wins, in other words, what's like the highest power. So these are the same, so it doesn't really matter which of these I highlight. 3v3, they're the same. Now the 5 is definitely going to beat the blank space, and the 7 is going to beat the blank space that we've got there. So the lowest common multiple is going to be 2 squared times 3 times 5 times 7, and I'm just going to put that in the calculator to get the answer. So I'm going to do 2 squared times 3 times 5 times 7, and we get that the lowest common multiple is 420. Of course, if you did the other technique of the table, you'd end up with the same thing, but I just thought I'd do it with the product of prime factors, because that's kind of where the question is leading you with this. Let's double check we got it right. So we've got our 2 squared times 3 times 7 and 420 for this part here. Okay, we've got one last question on this, which is kind of in context, and it says here are 3 lamps, A, B and C. Lamp A flashes every 20 seconds, lamp B goes every 45, and lamp C flashes every 120 seconds. The 3 lamps start flashing at the same time. How many times in 1 hour will the 3 lamps flash at the same time? So we're trying to find here, and a bit of a clue up at the top, we want to find the lowest common multiple of 20, 45, and 120. Now you could do this as the table method, but you would need to combine them first. So kind of makes sense. If you think about the lowest common multiple of 20 and 120, it's going to be 120. So really you just want to find the lowest common multiple of these. What I mean by that is every time lamp C flashes, lamp A is also going to be flashing, because if that's going every 20 seconds, it's definitely going to flash when it's at 120. Tell you what, I might just do the product of prime factors one. So I'm going to quickly do this, seeing as it's a calculator paper. I'm going to press 20 equals and then the shift fact button. So 20 is 2 squared times 5. I'll do 45. So 45 is going to be equals shift fact. It's 3 squared times 5. Notice how I've put the 3 in its own position. And then 120, I'll press 120 equals shift fact. And it's 2 cubed times 3 times 5. So if we think about the lowest common multiple, that's our what wins. The ones I'm going to highlight would be, this is the one that would win, it's got the highest power. This is the one that would win, it's got the highest power, and any of the 5s would be correct here. So the lowest common multiple is 2 cubed times 3 squared times 5. So that is 2 cubed times 3 squared times 5 is 360. So this means that they will flash at the same time every 360 seconds. Now 360 seconds, we can divide that by 60 to get how many minutes that would be, and so this is every 6 minutes. We just need to find out if it's going to be in 1 hour. We need to do 1 hour, which is 60 minutes. We're going to divide that by 6 minutes to find out how many times it flashes. So it is going to be 10 times. Now they will accept 11 times because of the fact, are you including when they first flash, or are we just saying that they flash and then we start the time? So you'll see in the answers that we've got here that they accept 10, but they do also accept 11 for this as well. So that's everything that's been asked so far on factors, multiples, and primes.